you know, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Could have been better, could have been worse. What's happening, everybody? Bridgewater's Finest is Justin on YouTube, and just wanted to hit you with my reaction video to the NFL playoff games that we saw over the weekend. As you saw with my little sign that I put up there, I was 3-1 in my predictions. Correctly picked the winner of Houston Cincinnati, correctly picked the winner of New Orleans Detroit, and correctly picked the winner of Atlanta and the New York Giants. The only incorrect one that I had was the Denver Broncos and Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to save that for last because I got a little bit of bitching to do. But before we get into it, sorry that I'm drinking from my big-ass bottle, I just wanted to just talk for a second about the previous video, about the prediction video that I did. You guys, the viewers, have gotten it up to almost 300 views, which isn't a big deal for a lot of vloggers, but it's a big deal for me. It's, I think, the second most popular vlog I've ever done, behind a vlog for the Fedor Emelianenko-Dan Henderson fight. So I want to thank everybody very much for taking the time to view the video. Thank the people that have commented on the video, the 5 people that have liked the video. I'll even thank the 1 person that's disliked the video. I don't know who it is, but it's cool because it gives me both the green and the red on my like-dislike bar, which is excellent. I want to give a special thank you to the 2 trolls that I've picked up on my page, which is excellent. Guitarman WM1, who trolled me about Mark Ingram being out of the New Orleans game, and he was my first one, so he's definitely the cutest. And Og and Tet, whatever the fuck that means, who was talking about why this fat fuck keeps drinking from his big-ass bottle every 30 seconds. Again, I really wish I was diabetic so I could make you feel like shit, but I'm not. I'm just a thirsty motherfucker. Alright. So let's get down to brass tacks and let's talk about these games. In the 3 games that I picked correctly, and this is not really to toot my own horn, well, maybe a little bit, I was eerily spot on with the 3 games that I picked correctly. Talking about Houston, let's start with Houston and Cincinnati. Houston and Cincinnati, I said it was 2 good defenses going up against 2 rookie quarterbacks. Usually not good news for the quarterbacks. Andy Dalton, for Cincinnati, did throw for, I think it was 275 yards. He had a good game in that respect. However, he also threw 3 interceptions. And this is not a critique of Andy Dalton. It's a critique of whoever is calling the plays for the Cincinnati Bengals, and here's why. They asked Andy Dalton to throw the football 42 times. This is a rookie. I know he had a good season, but this is still ultimately a rookie in his very first playoff game. Tremendous pressure. And then you ask him to throw the football 42 times, and you expect to be successful. I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way. So, I mean, he ended up throwing 3 interceptions, and a couple of them were garbage, but I imagine his arm was probably blown up. Not to mention, again, all the pressure that you're under in your first ever playoff game. TJ Yates, on the other hand, Houston had a much better game plan, and that was probably the product of being ahead. Actually, I should say, too, one of Andy Dalton's interceptions, of course, was taken all the way back for a touchdown by another rookie, J.J. Watt, so good on J.J. Watt, defensive lineman who played tight end in college, I think, so he got good hands, and he showed him on that play. T.J. Yates was only asked to throw the ball 20 times. He only completed 11 of his 20 passes, I believe, but he threw for a touchdown. He didn't throw any interceptions. He didn't fumble the ball. He didn't fundamentally fuck up the game. And that's all you can ask a rookie quarterback to do in their first playoff game. I'm sorry, you can't ask him to throw the ball 40 times. I also said this game was going to come down to the running backs, with an attaché onto that Cedric Benson was a fucking fraud, and yeah. Cedric Benson, 7 rushes for 14 yards. What did I say in the last video about Cedric Benson's yards per carry? How it was garbage? Try 2 yards per carry. That's garbage. On the other hand, you got Arian Foster, who rushed the ball 24 times for 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. Arian Foster, since he couldn't stop him. Houston put 31 points on the board and is moving on to the next round, just as I said they would. New Orleans and Detroit. I went on a rampage about New Orleans offense. How good New Orleans offense was. In this game, they won the game 45-28, New Orleans did. New Orleans obviously puts up 45 points. They put up 626 total yards of offense, led by Drew Brees throwing for 400 yards again. They're also 3 out of 4 on 4th down. That's a sign of a team that is supremely confident, both the head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback, and the entire offense. An offense that is supremely confident that they can make plays whenever they want to. To go for it on 4th down 4 times and be successful 3 times, it's a sign of a supremely good offense. And that's exactly what I said in the previous video. I said New Orleans was going to win this game if they didn't make any stupid mistakes. Didn't take dumb penalties. They're only penalized 3 times in the game for 18 yards. That's pretty good to me. If you're getting penalized less than once per quarter for less than 20 yards total, I'd say that's a pretty smart game plan. I said that New Orleans' defense wasn't great, but it was good enough to win these shootouts, and it wasn't great in this game. They gave up 28 points. They gave up over 200 yards receiving to Calvin Johnson, further proof why Calvin Johnson's the best wide receiver in football. But they were good enough to win this game. And Detroit having no run game. I think, what was the total yardage? I got it written down here somewhere. 32 total rush yards for Detroit in the whole game from all of their running backs. That don't get it done in the playoffs. It does not. So Detroit had no run game. Like I said, they weren't going to have any run game. New Orleans defense wasn't great, but it was good enough to win the game. They didn't make any dumb penalties. Their offense was fucking on fire. 626 total yards. All that adds up to New Orleans walking away with the game. And then we'll go to Atlanta and the New York Giants. Another game where basically what I said was going to happen is what ended up happening. I said it was big that Ahmad Bradshaw was back and complimenting Brandon Jacobs in the run game. The two of them combined for 155 yards on the ground. An excellent game for a running back tandem, playoff or otherwise. And I raved about the Giants' D-line. Jason Pierre-Paul co-led the team in tackles in this game with 6. Co-led with, I believe, Antrell Rawl. They only had 2 sacks. And they only had 3 tackles for a loss. But the big thing about this game was containment. That D-line and their front 7 contained Michael Turner. He only had 64 yards on the ground, which is not a terrible game, but it's a bad game for Michael Turner. And Matt Ryan, I believe, only threw for 199 yards. So it was a matter of containment, constant pressure on the quarterback, and all these things added up to the Giants winning the game. I said it was going to get ugly, and it did. Well, I thought that it could get ugly. It could be a shootout, but it could get ugly. And I thought it could be over by the end of the third quarter. By the end of the third quarter, it was 17-2. It's a 3-possession game. Final score in the game, of course, was 24-2. So they gave up another touchdown in the fourth quarter. Hakeem Nicks had a huge game in the passing game for the Giants. Eli Manning looked fantastic. But again, it really came down to containment by that defensive line, keeping Matt Ryan in check, stuffing Michael Turner. So there were the 3 games that I picked correctly, and as I said, they were eerily spot on with with the way that it actually went down, patting myself on the back. The game that I got wrong, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Denver Broncos. Of course, Denver winning this game 29-23 in overtime, in the first overtime game with the new rules. So, I'm usually not one to make excuses when my picks don't go the way I expected them to. I had a lot of picks not go the right way. Well, the right way. Had a lot of picks not go the way that I thought they were going to go in the past, and I'll have a ton more in the future. That being said, if I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I would be pissed. And here's why. First of all, I should say, I'm not a fan of any one team. I like watching good football games. That's it. I'm Canadian. I don't have an NFL team, a favorite NFL team. I just like watching good football games. In the final touchdown, the touchdown pass in overtime, the first play in overtime, Denver's in an illegal formation. And here's why. When you line up, you can have as many as 7 guys line up on the line of scrimmage. But if you have guys lining up on the line of scrimmage, none of them can be more than 1 yard behind the football, behind the line of scrimmage. If you look at, it's either Denver's left tackle or one of their tight ends. He's lined up a good 1.5 yards, almost 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's an illegal formation. The whistle should have been blown. Should have been a 5-yard penalty on Denver. I believe it's 5 yards. And it should have been 1st and 15. But apparently Jesus granted the referees temporary blindness. So, you know, it didn't get called. Tebow threw the touchdown pass, and there you go. And everybody calling it, oh my God, it's Tebow magic. He threw a long touchdown pass in overtime. He was throwing long passes on the Steelers all game. That's not magic. That's just bad defense. Pittsburgh's defense looked its age. They looked tired, and they looked old. They were giving up those long passes all game. And I think it was Ike Taylor, the one. Ike Taylor either needs to be cut or needs to be moved down on the depth chart, because they were burning Ike Taylor all goddamn game. I mean, I have to give Tim Tebow credit. I don't like to. I don't like the way that he flaunts his theology, but I got to give him credit. He played a good game. The Steelers' defense made him look better than he ever could make himself look in terms of being a passing quarterback. You know, he just didn't look good. It looked like it was going real good for the Steelers in the first quarter. In the first quarter, their defense looked phenomenal. But I don't know if they gassed out or what it was. They just, second quarter and onward, I mean, if you're sitting there and you're a Steelers fan, you're biting your jersey for the rest of the goddamn game after the first quarter. You know, Roethlisberger looked good, but was clearly limited. Isaac Redman played a really good game. I was very pleased with the way Isaac Redman played. As I said, that was going to be a question mark with Isaac Redman playing instead of Rashad Mendenhall, who I should have mentioned in the last game. Mendenhall was out for the season. So even if Pittsburgh would have won this game, they still would have been without Mendenhall for the next game. Hope him a speedy recovery, of course. You know, like I said, I don't like making excuses when my picks don't go right. I make my picks and I stand by them. And if they go right, awesome. And if they don't, I usually know why. But again, if I was a Steeler fan, I would be pissed off. To the point almost that I would petition the league. I know there's nothing the league can do about it. But it's a kick in the teeth to be knocked out of the playoffs on a play from an illegal formation. I just think that sucks. But anyways, so I was 3-1. I'm going to be coming back to you later in the week with a prediction video for the next round. I've also got some other stuff on the go. I'm currently compiling a list of my top 100 professional wrestling matches of all time, my top 50 professional wrestlers of all time. So wrestling fans, I hope you come back for that. And, you know, I'm going to keep doing this thing all through the NFL playoffs. I'm going to have a long video when it comes down to the Super Bowl. I may even cut a video live from my yearly Super Bowl party. I don't host it, but we do a yearly Super Bowl party, and it's a lot of fun. Get predictions from all the other people that are going to be there, so we may very well do that as well. My name's Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube. Thank you very much for getting my video almost to 300 views. Hope this one can do the same. I will see you later.